Bill George is a professor of management practice at Harvard and the former CEO of Medtronic, so he knows whereof he speaks. Mr. George, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be back with you.
Apple's new leader, Tim Cook, is going to be unveiling the iPhone 5. A lot of people are looking forward to it, but will the product sort of be overshadowed by the new leader, Tim Cook?
Well, I think Tim is carrying on where Steve Jobs left off. He's actually had a good tryout period. And here's a board that failed back in the 1980s when they fired Steve Jobs, had 5 unsuccessful CEOs, brought Jobs back, and the company took a while to take off. But now it has its strategy together, it has its team together, it has a great team. So Tim has a team around him, and I'm sure those product plans have been well in place for a long time, and they know what business they're in.
Bill, it's Liz at the New York Stock Exchange.
Hi, Liz.
You just said something important. Great to have you on the show, especially talking about something that has really been eclipsed by star CEOs. Say, for example, we were bringing up Yahoo and Carol Bartz or Leo Apotheker of Hewlett-Packard, when in essence you're also saying that boards with bad behavior can really hurt the leadership of a CEO. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because, you know, some of these CEOs get eviscerated, some for good reason, others not so fair.
Well, the board's job is to ensure you have the right leader, and they need to develop those from within. The HP story goes all the way back to Lou Platt and why they couldn't find an internal successor from their 200,000 employees. They brought in Carly. That didn't work out. They brought in Mark. That didn't work out. They brought in Leo. That didn't work out. Now they went outside for a 4th time. Meg Whitman's a quality person who ran eBay, but this board doesn't know what business they're in. It's kind of like Kodak. They had to go outside for George Fisher, then, you know, and then they wanted Petoni, and frankly, you know, they're just destroying value. They don't have a consistent strategy, consistent leadership. They don't have a culture that's true to its roots. And those companies that don't do that are in deep trouble, and I blame the boards for doing that.
Well, do they have a core business? Does HP have a core business anymore?
I suppose it's printers. I don't know. They say they're going into software. Look, you can't just jump into software. How long has been Microsoft and Google developing software? IBM has done nothing but for 10 years, and they have their software suite where they need it for big customers. And Apple software works beautifully for them. So I think it's not something you can just jump into. You need to be true to your roots, and they've abandoned the roots of Dave and Bill, and just like Kodak abandoned its roots, but it doesn't know what business. It thinks it's in the printer business. I don't know. I don't understand these boards.
Talk about your experience managing a board and being a leader and the qualities that you need, not just to lead the company, but to manage a board. I mean, doesn't that take a voluminous amount of your energy, and is that truly necessary?
Well, I tried to work with the board on strategy and on leadership development and keeping them informed about the events of the company. The boards I'm on now, ExxonMobil, Goldman Sachs, before that, Novartis, there's a tremendous amount of focus on leadership development. Who are the people coming along? Because we get visibility to the CEO, maybe to the executive committee, but typically your successors are going to come from below that level. If we don't have an understanding who these people are and see them coming along, if we don't go off-site and spend 3 days a year focusing on strategy, we're not going to do our job as a board. And that's what we had. And we did the same thing at Medtronic. We started these offsites a decade ago, or 2 decades ago, and they really helped us be clear about the business we were in and how we could expand and sustain the growth and have the leadership team, not just the person at the top, but have the team at all levels that could do that.
Well, talking about the board and core business, how does Yahoo fit into all this discussion?
Well, another disaster. How can I say it? They don't know their business. They turned down a Microsoft. I think the stock is less than a third of what it was when they turned down Microsoft. And Carol Bartz was clearly not the leader for that company. And again, you can't choose a leader by looking for a rock star CEO if you don't know what business you're in. And you should develop a person within. Look, Tim Cook is not a Steve Jobs. Don't try to make him into one. But he's going to be a great leader for Apple, and he can carry on the legacy of Steve Jobs, just like HP should have carried on the legacy of Dave Packard and Bill Hewlett. And I think all corporations should do just that. We at Medtronic tried to carry on the legacy of our founder, Earl Bakken, and be true to that. And if we didn't, we were in trouble.
You know, I look at a company like Intel who manages to bring along great leaders each and every time. But let's talk about the qualities of a great leader. Who in history, whether it's a corporate CEO or just a leader in general, do you feel, and it's easy, anybody can lead, Bill, in good times, but who has been a wonderful leader during difficult times?
Well, I think one of the best leaders in the world today is Sam Palmisano of IBM. But I'd also mention Alan Mulally. Now, he did come from the outside because the Ford culture was broken. But Mulally has taken Ford and proven to we Americans that we can be competitive in manufacturing small cars. Manufacturing in the United States works, and you got to give Mulally credit. But you know what? He's a man of the people. He's not an elitist. He's down there with the people all the time. He's involved with the designs. He's involved with the people on the production lines. And that's what you have to do. And so I give both Palmisano and Mulally credit as great leaders that are really bringing their companies back to true greatness. And by the way, they will sustain that for the next decade. There'll be ups and downs, but they will sustain their strategy because they know where they're going. And, you know, they're doing a lot of great things at both companies.
Bill George, former CEO of Medtronic, and I assume that they will never spin off the pacemaker. They're going to stick with that with their core product.
They better not.
They better not. Otherwise, they're going to hear from Bill George. Bill, thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill.